So hello everyone and welcome to the very last Sunday brunch of 2020. The topic for this week is education, and we're just going to really be looking at brain health and how to improve your brain health, which can also help with aging and things like that. And living longer. I don't know if that's something that you want, but it's really cool to know that we can do those things. So we're going to look at that. Also, this is the very, very last section of our self-development wheel. So we've covered everything from relationships to social life, to health, to movement, physical activity, to home environment, spirituality, and so much more. So we are going to look at our overall circle of life. And from that, you'll be able to pick the section that is personalized to you that you want to really focus on bringing up in 2021. So if you want to just put a new title on in your notebook for the topic of education. And then I'm just going to read out a few facts that you might find interesting and you might want to write down. So the brain is one of the least understood organs in the human body, first of all. It is responsible for cognitive processing. It obviously stores our memories and it regulates our functions throughout the body. So does anyone want to have a guess how many, just on an estimate, on an average, how many thoughts do you estimate the brain processes per day? Rounded to the nearest 0. Okay, we got millions, we got 23,900 millions. I feel like Danielle and Jasmine, that was a cop-out. Give me a number. Give me a number. I'll give you a clue. It is 6 digits. 5 digits, sorry. It's 5 digits. Give you a couple more minutes. Just put in the chat bar, whatever. 80,000, okay? 50,000. 10,000. 70,000. Okay, I'm going to stop now because you would have had time to Google it if that's the type of person that you are. But the correct answer is actually 70,000. So well done, Becky, you got that right. So the brain processes about 70,000 thoughts per day, which is so much, right? Like, it's actually crazy. So brain health is related to a variety of factors. Obviously, it includes mental and social stimulation, but also what we're exposed to in the environment. So things like lead, they can actually be really toxic. I'm sure you know. Environmental toxins can actually affect the way that the brain functions and its cognitive skills. So what is it that actually makes the brain so vulnerable? So almost all of the cells in the brain are in place by age 2 or 3. So how crazy is that? We form all of our cells like at that young age. And then only a few small regions of the brain grow new cells after that period. So it's a short period, right, that we have to develop a healthy brain and maintain healthy cells. So if you have children that are under that age, like maybe this resonates with you the most because they're currently right now forming their cells that they'll have for the rest of their life. So the brain may only account for up to 2% of a person's weight, but it consumes 20% of the body's energy at a rate that is 10 times faster than the rest of the body. So that's really cool, right? So it weighs only 2% of what our whole body weighs, but it takes up 20% of our energy. So it needs a constant supply of energy to be able to function, and what we're ingesting and what we're exposed to has a direct impact on that and a direct impact on how it works. So you guys may have known some of that already. I'm going to give you some tips now that you can apply to improve your health and your brain. So you might want to just write these down so you can reflect back on them. So in fact, maybe everyone share like something that they think can improve your brain health. And if you've ever, you know, had a really long to-do list and you feel like you've just not got on with the to-do list, and then it all rolls over to the next day and the next day, and you just feel like you're really busy but not productive, improving the health of your brain can actually really help with getting those things done, because you're going to be more alert and it's going to work more efficiently. So should we call it Omega blend? Yes, actually you are 100% correct with that. Water, exercise and meditation, good nutrition, exercise, water. Lots of you saying water. Okay, anything else? Being active. Yeah, dance. Yeah. So all of you know that nutrition, exercise and water are things that improve your health, right? Fresh air, yeah, that's a huge one. So I'm going to read out some that you may or may not have thought of. So choosing organic foods with little or no synthetic pesticides is one. So that falls into the nutrition category. So where you can, I can't stress enough, like, please do try and buy organic food. And if you can go to your local farmer or something like that to get your fruit and veg, then do it, because first of all, you just know that the soil is healthy. A lot of the supermarket food we buy, we think it's healthy because it's marketed as healthy, but actually the soil where the food is grown isn't healthy, and we're putting that into our body. So we may be eating an orange and an apple thinking it's good for us, but actually it could be doing the opposite. And just a good rule to go by is stay away from packaging. Like, stuff that comes in packaging usually is the stuff that's most processed. So if you can buy stuff out of the packaging, great. And if you can buy from individual like organic stores, then that's even better. And go for whole foods as and when you can. And I know some of you might be thinking it's not financially possible to do that. I used to think that more expensive weekly food box. Yeah, exactly. So like it may be a little bit more expensive to get those things, and some of you might be thinking, I can't afford to do that right now, because I used to think like that. But actually, if you really look at what you pay in the supermarket and you really look at what you pay in these individual stores, the difference isn't that much. But when you think of the long-term benefit, it's crazy. And when I used to buy stuff in packets, multi-packs from the shop, I'd end up throwing a lot of it away anyway. So it was almost like it's better for me to just buy 2 apples than a whole pack of apples, and those 2 apples I know are good for my health. And like Danielle said, you can do weekly food boxes that get delivered to your address. So if you don't have a Whole Food and you don't have a local farmer that you know of anyway, then you can get these deliveries to your door, and you know then that it's fresh. So eating organic really, really can improve the health of your brain. And by the way, as and when you can, as much as you can, stay away from anything that comes in a tin, because the tin actually contains toxins. It's metal, right, isn't it? And that can affect the food. It can transfer into the food. So just be aware of that. Like, I'm not saying never eat from a tin again, but just be aware that if you're constantly eating from tins, you might be transferring some of that toxicity into your food and then into your body as well. So that was number 1, is choose organic where you can. Number 2 is experiment with chemical-free yard and garden solutions. So again, just choosing organic products when you're cleaning your garden, because it kind of goes into the air and stuff like that. And if you are growing fruits and veg in your garden, that reason is obvious. But even just, you know, spending time out in your garden, if you've been using pesticides and things that have a lot of chemicals, that can go into the air and you can be breathing that in. And the same thing applies with this is another tip actually, so write this as another one, is the ingredients in your everyday self-care and house cleaning products. So exactly the same thing, like just check the labels, buy organic when you can, even if you do have to spend a little bit more money, just because you're putting that into the air. And if you're putting stuff directly on your skin as well, it can really, you're not going to notice the difference straight away, like you're not going to notice it for years, but if you're doing that every day, it can really affect just your overall body health and most importantly your brain health. So that was number 3, and number 2 was the garden solutions, choosing like pesticide free, and then number 3 was your everyday self-care and cleaning products. So the next one is contact your local health department to find out how you can have paint and dust testing done in your home. Now, I don't know what I've always ever rented, so I don't know what the process is if you have a house, but maybe just have a look into it and maybe just get some tests done. And, if you have a loft and things like that, just testing for different things and make sure that you haven't got any sort of chemicals floating around in your house through the paint or dust or asbestos, stuff like that. Okay, so there were just some tips there in everyday living that you may not have thought about. And then obviously nutrition, health, and fresh air are huge things. Okay, the next thing is the food, so brain food. Obviously, the brain needs exercise, it needs social connection, it needs good nutrition to function well, and the right diet can help protect the brain from damage. And obviously, it's going to function more efficiently. And there's two aspects of it. So I refer to them as your primary food and secondary food. So you may have heard me speak about these before on these Sunday brunches, but your primary food is everything we've covered in the last 12 weeks. So your primary food is the things that you don't physically eat. So your relationships, your social life, your career, your relationship with money, all of that stuff, the stuff we don't eat. And then your secondary food is the stuff you actually put into your body. So they're both so important for overall health. And a lot of the time, when people are trying to improve their health, they only look at the secondary food and not the primary food. So that's a huge thing for improving the health of the brain. People who are lonely, they generally don't live as long as someone who is full of life and has so much love and connection. And I'll tell you this quick story. I can't remember whereabouts it is in the world, but there's this area in the world, this community, this village, and they literally only eat pasta and pizza and stuff like that, right? They don't eat nutritionally. They don't eat lots of fruit and veg. They just eat pastas and pizza and red wine and all of this stuff that you wouldn't think is good for you. But everyone in this village lived longer than someone who was eating really, really well. So they were eating all their fruits, their vegetables, probably on Juice Plus, drinking lots of water, having lots of food, right? And they didn't live as long as this village that were eating bad. And does anyone know why the reason that might have been? This is a true story. They're happier, exercising. A couple more. Any more guesses? Reg is close with happier. Yeah, community. Yeah. So these people live longer just because they felt so connected and they had that love. And how crazy is that, right? Like, people obsess over diets for years and years and years and years and years. And actually, they're never going to improve their health because the thing that is missing the most is that connection, that love, that community. And it really can help us live longer because our brain, it's to do with the brain and the way it's functioning. And there's some science behind it, but it's powerful, right? And if you think, for most of you guys, hopefully, I know it is for me, hopefully this community has brought a lot of that positivity into your life, and it's made you feel happier. And I've definitely felt a lot healthier because of not only the products, but because of the community and the support. And a lot of people don't have that. So anyway, that's just something that can help with that, with improving the brain health. So let's just read out some statistics here. So this is an American statistic, but according to the Alzheimer's Association, over 5 million individuals in America currently suffer from the disease, Alzheimer's. Over 5 million, right? But the number is expected to increase by 11 million people by the year 2050. It's a lot, right? So currently 5 million currently suffer from the disease, but it's expected to increase to 11 million. And that really is linked to that lack of connection. And now more than ever this year, people's health, and I don't know if you've seen it in the last couple of days, but people's health is deteriorating day by day. And it is not because of the virus. It is not because of the virus itself causing people's health to decline. For some people it is, yes. I'm not naive enough to know that there is a virus that is physically killing people. But something that is just as important as that people really aren't speaking about, is this loneliness and this lack of connection and love. And if we're not seeing the results now, we're going to see the results in a year's time as a side effect of what's happening right now. So the first thing is think about how you can improve your own health, and then think about how you can improve the health of the people around you. Maybe it's just telling them that you love them more often, and then you can expand into a bigger circle of people that you don't know, and help people work on what we've worked on the last 12 weeks. All of these things, how they all tie into that overall improvement of health. And it can really reduce the risk of conditions like Alzheimer's, which is a brain disease. So some other symptoms of impaired brain health function include forgetfulness, poor memory, slow reflexes, poor coordination, difficulty focusing, and difficulty completing complicated tasks. A nutritious diet, though, can help with that. So obviously we've learned about the primary food, and I'm actually going to read out some more facts for those of you that like facts and science and research. There's some more here, so just write down anything that you want to that could be useful for maybe, if not you, but maybe creating some content around this to help and add value to others. So number one, participation in social activities among elderly people has a neuroprotective effect, reducing the likelihood of cognitive impairment. So it's basically just saying the benefits of social activity in older people. So be sure to spend time enjoying the company of others and actively participating in groups. So for you personally, you may find that being part of a book club or visiting friends and family or even volunteering is a great way to improve your social skills, but also make new connections. And you just never know when you could be transforming someone else's life and just making them feel a little bit more connected and loved. So that is number one. And it doesn't just apply to the elderly either, like it really doesn't. Again, I think with this year, it's more relevant for everyone, no matter how old you are. And I think maybe younger people are suffering more than people know with what's going on at the moment. So that was just number one. So number two, physical activity. Obviously, we all know this, and that can improve your brain function at any age, but it's particularly important in older adults, for brain health in older adults. So exercise can reduce the risk of depression, and it can improve the cardiovascular health, and also boosts memory and coordination. So we all know that anyway, because we work in health and wellness, but it's always good as a reminder. So that was number two. Number three is practicing religion or spirituality. So that can really reduce the risk of brain functioning declining. So if you don't already, then I'd really have a think about starting some meditation or exploring some other spirituality or religious pathway, whatever resonates with you. Also, I just have to say right now, my tower garden just came on. It'll be on for the next 15 minutes. So if you can hear water running in the background, don't worry, like no one's on the toilet, the bathroom doors are open. It's just my tower garden and it is very noisy. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but it is there. Water feature, yeah, it's quite relaxing. And having that nature in the house actually is really therapeutic, like I spoke about before on the home environment and feng shui. But I would like it to not be in the room where I'm trying to work. Anyway, so let's move on to the next one. So the next tip is learning a new language. So that can actually help improve your brain function. And you may have way too much on your plate right now to think about learning a new language. But I will give you guys an app that is good if this is something that interests you. So the app called Duolingo. is really good for just starting to learn a new language, because you can just do little bits here and there. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours a day, and it's just a good way to get your brain functioning. And then the last one is creative hobbies such as painting, dancing, playing an instrument. All of those things can really help with reducing memory loss, and they're creative outlets, obviously, and a really great opportunity for self-expression and keeping your brain challenged. So just always think, you know, what can I do to get my brain working? Like for me this year, I made my own Christmas baubles, just because there was the therapeutic side of it, and also it was just something where I could let my brain be a bit creative. So there's options there. When you're wrapping your presents, if you haven't wrapped your presents already, maybe think about using brown paper and doing some nice creative stuff on top. Even if you're not that creative, just give it a go, because when you start to unlock this area of your brain, you'll start to use it more in your day-to-day life. Learning Spanish at the moment, my 5th language. Wow, Regina, that's amazing. You're crazy. I only speak English at the moment, but I can speak a little bit of German. That's probably where I would spend my time if I was going to learn a bit more language. But yeah, so impressive, Reg. Okay, so now we're moving on to secondary food. So secondary food provides the actual fuel for our brain to function at its best, right? So you all know this, you all said nutrition as an area to improve your health. A diet rich in whole foods that are high in antioxidants and nutritious fats and low in added sugar help support neurological health. So like Danielle said, the omegas are really amazing for improving your brain health. But there's also loads of other things as well. So here's what the research says about how food can affect our health. So the Mediterranean diet, which is rich in whole foods and healthy fats and low in processed foods, has been shown to slow the progression of cognitive decline in older individuals. So that's the Mediterranean diet. So there you go. If you've got older people in your family, you can suggest that they look at the Mediterranean diet and what they can do there. It's lots of omegas and healthy fats in that. Blueberries have been shown to increase the brain function. So add some blueberries into your smoothie. They're so amazing with the vanilla protein powder. So just vanilla protein, blueberries, and whatever milk you're using is so good. Actually, does anyone else know of any other brain foods? Just before I read the rest, I'm curious to know if you guys already know this or have a guess. So far we've had healthy fats, so Mediterranean diet, omegas, and blueberries. And is there anything else that you guys maybe heard of before? Okay, spinach, yeah. High in antioxidants, tuna, yep, so fish, yep, salmon. Dark chocolate, yeah, I have heard of dark chocolate before, definitely. Pumpkin seeds, interesting. Okay, so the next ones we have on here, there are lots more yet. Leafy greens are really high in antioxidants, so they're definitely something that can improve your brain function for sure. So some other things that we've got here are the flavonols from cocoa. So like, who said it? Becky, dark chocolate, yeah. So this can reduce the severity of age-related brain decline. So just having a small piece of dark chocolate is obviously really tasty, and it can also reduce that risk to the brain. I don't think anyone said this one, but avocados. So avocados are really high in antioxidants. So that's a good thing to have in your diet if you don't have it already. I've actually been adding avocados to just random stuff. Like I made, it was like a chili, like a mushroom chili. I made that the other day and had an avocado on top, and it's actually really good. So you can add it to all sorts of meals that you maybe haven't thought of before. Walnuts are a powerful brain food to show that they've been researched to support brain function. They can improve your processing time, so the way that your brain works. I actually think I could do with some more walnuts and improve my brain functioning time at the moment. But if you guys didn't know that, then there's a little tip for you there. You can also put them into smoothies, and maybe over the next few weeks, if you've got some time, experiment with baking with some of these products as well. Like maybe make some brownies and put some walnuts in the brownies, you know. That's quite a good thing to do. And green tea. So consuming green tea can actually improve the risk of brain functioning decreasing as you get older. It's high in antioxidants, and it can help fight inflammation, which you guys don't know, inflammation can lead to premature aging. So again, that's another reason why omegas are really great to have in your diet, because they reduce inflammation, and that inflammation can lead to premature aging. What else? Bananas, lentils, turkeys, turmeric. Yeah, amazing. So all of these things, basically anything high in antioxidants is gonna be beneficial for the brain. So obviously we all know that food can improve brain function. We've probably been taught that at quite a young age, but maybe you guys didn't think so much about the primary food, about, you know, relationships and health and your relationship with your finances. Like if you have a good relationship with your finances, it can improve your overall brain function, because you're not in that state of stress and overwhelm. You're in a state of control, and that can be really helpful. So there's just some tips there. Maybe you already knew all of those things anyway. And if you did know all of those things, just remember that there's lots of people out there that don't think about those things. And a lot of people think that health and happiness is just the food that they eat rather than other stuff. So yeah, the brain is a big part of our education and our learning and our health as well. The next thing we're going to do is a really quick test. So something slightly different, but still falls into the topic of education. And this is figuring out your learning style. So you probably did this when you were at school, or maybe you've done it more recently in a job. But you're going to figure out what your learning style is based on the VARK, so VARK. And this is just going to be an insight into maybe how you've changed as you've grown up into an adult, or maybe something that you just forgot about, or maybe something that you've never done before. I actually want to know if you guys have ever done this questionnaire before, so maybe just put in the chat bar like, yes, ages ago, or yes, recently, or no, never done it. And then open the link in a new tab as well. And if you're watching this back on replay, it's just called the VARK questionnaire, so VARK, and you can do any of these tests. Yeah, for those of you that work in a school, you would have done this, I'm sure. I think it's still part of the curriculum, isn't it? Danielle's never heard of it. Okay. So, oh, they've got rid of it now. Okay, so I've just resumed the recording for those of you that are maybe watching this back. We've got some of the results coming through. So Sophie said that she got the same as when she did this when she was younger, but it was just much stronger. Deanna, Sophie, Sarah, kinesthetic, Becky, multimodal. Which letters was it for those of you that were multimodal? I'm dyslexic too, so when I had this exam in uni, it was the only way to learn for me. That's so interesting. Deanna, it's like what we spoke about the other day as well, about when you're sharing your story on social media, like think of a way you can share it that's like through dance or something like that, because that is a kinesthetic thing. And by the way, like this is slightly off topic, but slightly connected, is whatever your way of learning is how you're going to connect with other people. So other people will connect with you that have the same kind of learning style. So maybe just think about, like, if you're always putting lengthy captions on your social media, then you're going to attract the people that learn through reading lots of text, you know, like, or are interested in that kind of thing. And they might not be the people that you want to attract, not necessarily in your business, but into your network of people, into your circle. So maybe just that's something to think about, knowing this and knowing the way you learn, and also let your mentor know, like, I don't learn through this, like, you know, I don't learn through, for me, I do not learn through someone talking at me. Like if it's on a Zoom call, I have to be writing my own notes because I'm not learning as the person's talking. My learning process is when I look back on the notes. So like if someone's telling me something, like this is why I taught my whole degree to myself, because I don't learn through lectures. So there was no point me sitting in a lecture where I just watch the slides back and teach myself that way. So knowing these things, you can then tell your mentor, or you can then know how to show up in your business in a way that is time efficient for you, and not just your business, but life as well. It can also help with relationships. Like if, like me, your least, like your lowest preference is oral, then if someone is talking to you saying these are my plans, like I'm going to use Josh as an example. So if he's like, okay, well, I've got a client at this time tomorrow, and then on Tuesday I'm out, and then Wednesday I'm doing this, I'm like, you need to write it down, because I cannot process that. Like my brain just doesn't work that way. So knowing this about yourself can just help you in all areas of your life, especially when it comes to learning. Let's see what else you've got. You've got multimodal, AR and K, VA and K. I'm surprised I'm not more visual. Always thought I was a visual learner. That's interesting. So Danielle, what was yours? AR and K. Which one was the highest, or were they all pretty even? Oral, multimodal, VA and K. Okay, great. I definitely say do this test a couple more times as well, because sometimes you need to do tests like this like 3 or 4 times to get your average results, and do it when you're in different states. So do it when you're really, really full of energy, like do it when you're super focused and concentrating, and just see if there's any patterns that come up each time. Visual 8, oral 15, reading and writing 1, kinesthetic 12. Interesting. See how everyone is so different. Like my oral is like the lowest, and me and Reg are complete opposites like that. So it's just interesting to know about yourself and then know about other people as well. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Visual 2, oral 1, reading and writing 7, kinesthetic 6. That's really interesting, yeah. I mean, because your kinesthetic is quite high, like maybe that's why you always thought you were quite visual, because maybe it's the practical side of things, of doing and seeing stuff that way, rather than looking at like patterns and images and stuff like that. So it's just good to know, and then you can experiment with this further. Visual 8, oral 6, reading and writing 3, kinesthetic 10. Yeah, Becky, you're definitely a kinesthetic learner. Okay, cool. I always find people that grow up in sports are kinesthetic learners, especially like dance and competitive sports, which actually is a lot of you on this call right now. Okay, cool. So the next thing we're going to do is grab your self-development book, and then you also need something round. So a mug is probably the best thing, a clean mug, or I actually just have a sellotape holder here, so I'm just going to use that. It could be anything. It could be a plant pot, just something round, and you're just going to draw a nice neat circle in your book. And then you're going to split it up into the 12 segments. So let me know once you've done that. I'll do it as well so I can show you. What are we doing? I said that really quick, so I'll repeat it one more time. I know some of you are still finishing as well. Multi, okay, great. Write these down as well, by the way. Write your results down, because you might want to come back to it in a couple of months and see what's changed. Maybe one of your learning styles has got stronger since you've been focusing on it, or maybe you've experimented with different ways of learning, and then it changes over time. So the next thing we're doing is, in your book, your self-development book, you just need to draw a circle. So that's step 1. So you can use anything, a sellotape reel, a mug. You can do it freehand if you want. I would recommend using something so that it's a neat circle. But if you don't have anything, you can just draw it freehand. So that's step 1, is just draw a nice circle in your book, and maybe just show it up show me, hold it up and show me once you've done, so that I know that everyone is following. Okay, Sophie's done. Just hold it there, Sophie, so I can, once you've done it, just hold it up and keep it on the screen so that I can see where everyone's at. I don't want to move on until you're all ready. Okay, Sophie's done. Yeah, so the next thing is once you've done the circle, like Sophie has. Sophie, if you could just keep it held there whilst we wait for everyone else. So the next thing to do is draw the 12 lines. So you want to do a line down the middle, a line across. Deanna, if you just hold it up so I can see, and then we'll just wait for everyone else. Okay, Sarah's done. Sarah, yours is very neat. Each segment is like the same size. I'm really impressed. Okay, just wait. Reg, Danielle, and Deanna, once you've drawn your circle, if you just hold it up onto the screen. I'm not judging your circles, by the way. It's just an easy visual learner, right? That's me. So it's just an easy way for me to know who's finished. Okay, Danielle's is done. Lovely. Deanna's using her phone. I don't know how you're doing this on your phone. Do you have a pen and paper that you can grab? And then just wait for Reg. Reg, do you need some time to grab some pen and paper, or are you good? You good? Okay. Okay, fab. And then those of you with your cameras off, I'm presuming that you are currently busy. So maybe just come back to this at some point when you do have some time. And yeah, because this is an important thing to do. Like, this is a reflection. You can put your papers down now. Because this is a reflection, right? This is a reflection of where we're at currently in our overall life. Like, this circle is the foundation to everything that we do. And the way that we show up in the world. So just reflecting on this and coming back to this every few months can really, really help you be where you want to be, whatever that means to you, like whatever area of your life that you want to improve, or wherever you want to be in your life. Like, this is the foundation to all of it. It's like the heartbeat, if you want to think about it like that. Like, imagine right by your heart you've got this circle, and you want to keep all of the segments as high as you can, and over time they're going to dip. Some of the lines are going to go down and some of them will go up, and we're never going to have everything perfect, but what we do want is just awareness of when one of them is a bit lower, because noticing that it's lacking and then doing something to stop it getting below that halfway point is helpful. Because what happens is, if you imagine it like this as well, this again is for all of you that are visual. If you learn in a different way, then think of a different way of this. But if you imagine you've got this circle here and you've got your lines, right? As soon as one of those lines starts to go down here, the others will start to go down too. And then what happens is, basically, if all of the lines go down and they all fall really low, like, you're basically dead. Like, that's the extreme version, but keeping all of these things up are what keeps us breathing and keeps us moving through life. So it's just a good thing to think about. So once you've done that and you've drawn your 12 lines, we're going to write each section of the self-development calls that we've been doing on each line. So you might have done this already, but if you don't know what they are, you can go to the Facebook page and click on the cover photo. And then you'll be able to see the circle there. So self-development Sunday brunch, click on the cover photo, you'll see the circle. And then if you just write all of the categories on each line, and then just let me know once you're done. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do is, on the circle of life where you've got each of your sections and you've got each of the categories written on your sections, which you can find on the Self-Development Sunday Brunch Facebook page in the cover photo. So you're going to write each area on each line, like we did right at the beginning of these 12 weeks. Then we're going to put a little dot on each line. So 5, where it's halfway, is, it's so and so, like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, you're just feeling a bit like meh with that area of your life. 10 is like everything is perfect, I've got it all under control, I feel really satisfied and content with this area. And 1 is I'm really, really struggling with this area of my life. So you're going to put the dots on each line, and then you're going to join them up with lines. So it's going to kind of create like a spider's web. And that, once you're done, is your current circle of life. So you want to refer back to this. You want to keep checking in with yourself. Where are you at? Have things changed? Are there areas you need to improve? Where needs some love? Where needs some attention? And also know that if these things change over time, like that really is so normal. And if something that is really, really going well for you right now in 3 or 4 months' time isn't, then don't beat yourself up about it, because that's just the way that things work. Like when you start to put your focus and your energy onto the thing that is maybe suffering at the moment, some of the other things might fall down a little bit, and that's okay. Like it's never all going to be perfect, but it's just keeping everything kind of balanced as much as you can and having an awareness. So that actually concludes the end of these 12 weeks of self-development. We've done spirituality. Well, if we start at the beginning, actually, we started with health. Then we went on to physical activity. We looked at movement. We went on to home cooking, home environment, feng shui, stuff like that. We looked at relationships. We looked at social life, we looked at joy and spirituality, we looked at creativity, we looked at finances, we looked at career, and we've just now looked a bit at education, so our brain health and our learning style as well. And what I will just say on education is just never ever stop learning, because when we stop learning, we start dying, in my opinion. Like we have to keep expanding our knowledge, we have to keep growing as a person, we have to keep fueling our brain with new content, and it's not overwhelming content. You don't have to take lots and lots of tests and things, but it's just that constant learn and self-improvement. And that completes our spirituality wheel. So for those of you that have done the full 12 weeks, is there anything that anyone wants to share? Maybe you want to unmute yourself and share anything that you found. Maybe you've got an area of reflection that you can work on the next few months going into 2021. Or you can put in the chat bar if you don't want to unmute yourself. No one?
Hi.
Hello.
I'll talk.
Thanks.
So I've just taken a picture of my circle at the start and then now, so I could like compare them. And it's actually very interesting because it's not changed too much. It's still quite the same pattern, but on the home environment, home cooking and physical activity, that's all gone up. So I'm closer now to like a full circle, whereas before it was quite like in on that side.
That's amazing.
That's mine.
So Sophie, if you don't mind me asking, like what changed? Did you start making improvements to your home environment?
Yeah, I created an office space because before I was like just working on my bed and it just wasn't going very well. So now I've got like a little bit of a bedroom, and then the rest of my bedroom is like an office. I've got like a big bookshelf, my desk, and a dance space when I can dance again.
For your TikToks that are getting 10,000.
My TikToks, yes. I'm on 11.8k at the minute.
Amazing. So good. So good. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sophie. Was there anything that maybe decreased from the beginning?
Let me take another look.
If anyone else wants to share, by the way, I'm maybe going to unmute 1 or 2 more people, so just have a think about.
Physical activity has gone down, but obviously I'm a bit restricted at the minute, so I'm not beating myself up about that one because it's kind of out of my hands.
Yeah, and actually, if you don't mind me just adding on to that, like this is a really, really good example of what Sophie's going through right now. She's got an injury, she's going to have an operation, and that's an example of some things happening in our life that are out of our control that affect these areas of our life, whether it is your physical activity or finances or relationships or whatever. Like, things will change that you don't plan for, and it can change like that. But what happens is we keep it as balanced as we can. Like, there's a small amount of activity that you can do, right? And you're definitely choosing to see the positives at where you can. TikTok being an example, right? But what we can do is, instead of dwelling on that, like, we just keep it balanced. It's not going to be, you know, a high number, but we keep it balanced, and we can work on some of these other areas that maybe before didn't get the attention that it could have, like home cooking, for example. I know you said that one improved.
Yeah.
No, that's so amazing. Thank you for sharing, Sophie.
It's okay.
Okay, let's have a look at these comments. Did anyone else want to share something? Patricia's learned so much. I'd love to know in the chat, Patricia, anything in particular that you learned, like any particular areas that that helped you. Completely changed my mindset. That's so lovely. You're very welcome. I'm glad that you've got value out of them. Jasmine, mine were all quite low to begin with. Home environment, home cooking, spirituality gone up over the weeks. Excited to continue growing the other areas through to New Year. That's amazing. So cool. And like, it's going to be so personal to each of you. Like, it's going to be completely different. But you can always come back to this wheel. Like, I'd say whenever you feel a bit disconnected and a bit out of alignment, like, just take some time to put some good music on, maybe even get yourself a glass of wine or whatever, and just sit and do this wheel and think, what's going on? Like, which area of my life is holding me back at the moment? Because if you can see that, if you can work it out, then you, all of a sudden, your mindset will change from being like, oh, everything's a mess, to like, no, not everything's a mess, just these areas need some attention. And then that's just, it's a much better mindset to have. Cool. Does anyone else quickly want to share anything? Danielle, do you want to share anything that's maybe changed? Can I unmute you? Okay.
Okay. I haven't been on all the calls though, because I've really had a bad mindset year with lockdown and stuff. But every day that I've gotten on a call, like this morning I woke up and I actually feel a bit hungover, like, not that I've been drinking, but like really hungover. And I said to myself, I need to get on this call because this is when I need the call the most. So I'm very grateful for the fact that you've done these calls. Like, doing that wheel, I've only done it twice now, so I haven't done it properly, but I am going to go back and watch the recordings and everything. But I know, like, my home environment hasn't really changed, but I know in my room and in my personal space I have improved things, so I'm more comfortable and I'm more willing to work in my own space, because I don't always have access to like my lounge and things like that, because if my mum's in here I really struggle to sit and work next to her. And I think that's because she's got a bit more of a negative mindset, which is how I started this business. And I mean, her life has given her reasons to be that way. And she struggled with things like that. So I won't go into that. But I've just seen Patricia comment about how it's opened her eyes. And I definitely need to work on my finances next year because I have big plans and I'm scraping by every month. So there's things I know I need to work on, and this wheel's really showing that to me. So I love the fact that I've been able to sit on these calls and actually learn, even if it's just been like just listening in and not really participating every week, it's still been really beneficial to my mindset. So thank you, Kate.
You're so welcome. Thank you for sharing. And what you said there is really key. You know, like, maybe for a lot of you, this is the first time you've ever been introduced to this circle, and it's not necessarily that you've made a change in the last 12 weeks, but maybe like Danielle said, and like Patricia said, it's just open your eyes up to maybe some areas that need some attention. And what I'd say is, if one of the areas or a few of the areas are really low right now, I wouldn't set your goal in 2021 to make those numbers the best they can be, because what will happen is, for example, if you're, let's say, like, if you're let's use finances as an example. So if your finances are maybe like a 1 on the scale, they're really, really low, like, you know, it needs some attention, don't go and then try to make them a 9 and a 10, because it's such a big jump that what you'll end up doing is focus all of your attention and all of your energy just on that one thing, that all of the other areas will fall. And this is the mistake a lot of people make, especially with setting New Year's resolutions and things like that, is they go, I'm going to improve this one area of my life, and forget about keeping everything else balanced because it takes so much energy. So what I'd say is, if there's something that's low, finances are maybe low, just aim to get it to a 5 or a 6 and be happy with that, because that's not going to take all of your energy. That's just going to take a little bit of time and attention and maybe a bit more awareness of what's going on. And that way, then the other things won't fall down as well. Same with the business. Like, for example, if we take the section of career, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll end the call so you can enjoy the rest of your day. But say the section is career, and you're like, I want to make this business my full-time job. Like, I want to make this my career. But right now, maybe it's a really low number, like it's a 1 or a 2, and you haven't been putting in as much as you know you're capable of. Don't set your goal to like make this business your full-time income within a year if it is a 1 or a 2, which for most of you it's not going to be. So this probably isn't the best example because you're here on this call, right? But this is just in theory, so you can apply this to whatever area of your life. But say it was like a 1 or a 2 and you haven't been showing up at all, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I want to make this my only income and I want to quit my job and I, you know, this is my career. Fine, but what you have to understand is that by doing that, by putting all of your energy and all of your focus into that, some of the other things may fall, and maybe that's your sacrifice and you're okay with that. But if you just think like your relationships might fall down a little bit, your health may fall down a little bit, and you have to be, if that's the decision you make, you have to be okay with that. So you just need to think like, whatever your goal is, take all of these things into consideration, because if you don't, then you might be surprised when all of a sudden the thing that you focused on is really good, and then you've got another problem in your life and you're like, oh, and then you literally going round in circles trying to fix all of these things that become a problem, rather than just try and improve everything, but breathing along the way and enjoying the process. It's finding a good balance, absolutely, yeah. And just don't make the mistake a lot of people make. Same with health, right? People go, okay, 2021, I'm going to transform my health, I'm going to go all in, and they go all in for maybe 2 weeks, and they're at the gym, you know, 6 times a week when they never went before. And then what happens is other things start to fall down, maybe their job, or you know, their social life, and then they start to go, oh, it wasn't really worth it, like I haven't seen my friends for ages, or like, oh, it's affecting my job or whatever. And then it's like, well, that's because you went from like a 1 on the scale trying to get yourself to a 10 in a short period of time. So it's really just having awareness of yourself, and that's the best advice I can give you. So congratulations for showing up on yourself. Congratulations for getting through to the end of this self-development call. And I really do hope that you can take some of this into the new year with you, and come back to this wheel whenever you're feeling a bit disconnected and like you need a little bit of support. So I'm just going to end the recording now.